Good morning, it's Nick on the 16th of July, finishing off this week's theme of moving from a shadow calling to our true calling, a shadow life to a true life. If you've watched any of my broadcasts or read anything I've done over the last few years, you'll know that I talk a lot about resistance. So today I'm just touching again on this idea of resistance. I think what we face when we want to move from the shadows to the centre of our life is we are going to face resistance, and I think of resistance as a blanket term really for all our fears. I'm laughing not because I want to trivialise this, but it's just such a big subject. All of us have so many fears, we have so many vulnerabilities. To me, that's just acknowledgement of that is a relief in itself, just to say, look, we're all got our vulnerabilities, we've all got our fears. If we're going to step into living more of a true life and a true calling and authentically be ourselves, that's an incredibly courageous thing to do, an incredibly generous thing to do, an incredibly bold, spiritually kind of bold and audacious thing to do. And in order to do that, we're going to probably face a number of fears and resistances. I've written books on resistance, I've given talks and workshops on resistance, but the essence of it for me is, the little expression I use most often is, resistance is our ego's petty and fearful responses to the magnificent creative impulses of our soul. I'll say that again because it's such a big idea. Resistance is all our ego's petty and fearful responses to the magnificent and creative impulses of our soul. So the way I think of it is, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm just saying this is how I think of it, but our soul wants to blossom, it wants to express itself, and those ego parts of us are all often trying to hold us back. They're trying to scare us, keep us small, keep us afraid, keep us unconscious, confused, distracted. There's 101 different ways that we can, 1,001 different ways that we can move into resistance, but underneath it all is this blanket idea that we're afraid to blossom into all that we can be. So the thought that has helped me so much over the years is to recognize that my resistance, I don't know that it's necessarily always this way, but I think a large part of our resistance is simply our blocked creative energy. It's the energy that actually wants to be expressed through our gifts, through our talents, through our qualities in the world. But our egos kind of hijack them and turn them into excuses and stories and fears and distractions and perfectionism and all sorts of things that are less than helpful to our full creative expression in the world. So each bit of resistance we experience has the capacity to become new creative energy available to us, is my belief, or at least a lot of our resistances. I know that each time I face resistance, and sometimes my resistance is mild, sometimes it's moderate, some of my resistance can be pretty severe and pretty chronic at times. But every time, whether that's in a moment or whether it takes me days and weeks to get through my resistance, on the other side of it is another gift, another, if you like, level of freedom, another level of confidence, perhaps that's another way of saying it. When we face our resistance and go through the other side, we feel more confident. We go, wow, we beat a dragon. So we grow in confidence because we think, oh, I've slayed a dragon, maybe I can slay more dragons, my own dragons. So we grow in an inner confidence that each time we beat resistance, we grow, we expand, we blossom into more of who we already are, but have been afraid to live out until now. So that's my final thought. We are all facing resistance. The reality is, everybody I've ever met who's been honest with me has said, yes, I have fears, I have resistance. It's the part of the software of being human. The more we can just accept it's the ground we all stand on, the more we can handle it. But if we're in denial of it, or if we don't want to face it, if we don't want to show our vulnerability, if we don't want to acknowledge our own vulnerability, then that's kind of going to keep us stuck to some extent. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. So I'm finishing off this week's theme now, and you may well have seen that I'm starting a new program in a couple of weeks' time. So this following week I'm going to do a kind of mini series of introductions to this new program and why I love it so much and why it's so important to me and why I think it matters so much and what it is that people that sign up for this program are going to benefit from by taking this program. So I'm going to do a mini series, an episodic mini series, 7 little episodes of why I think showing up and sharing your voice, your messages, your ideas with the world is so important. So that will start tomorrow. Okay, God bless, have a good day. Bye bye.